Guys, just give me 1 second. Hello guys. Am I audible now? I think I am audible and I am visible too. Okay. I think there was some error from my end. Really sorry, guys. Really sorry, guys. Like there was some error in my system. I have just restarted it, and then it is basically showing my this camera and my audio. So how are you guys? How you guys are doing? Okay. All right. So, guys, this is basically the day two. So, what we'll be basically going to do today is we will going to cover again creating a table, how we can create it. Just a revision we'll be going to do how to insert data inside it, how to basically do analysis, like search different queries. What we can basically do. I am also good, guys. I am also good. All right. So, just give me 1 second. Let me just share my screen over here. Okay, so this is basically my SQL workbench that we'll be basically going to work with. So I'll be simply going to open it as like we have seen basically in the last session. Just give me 1 second, guys. All right. Okay, just give me 1 second, guys. Uh, all right. So this is basically my SQL. Okay. You might have downloaded different SQL. Over here we are like working on this thing, SQL Workbench. So you have to download Workbench only over here. All right. So this is my schema that we have basically seen in the last session. So what we'll be going to do today over here is we'll be simply going to create one folder like we have seen. This is basically the day two. So let's just say create a schema. We'll be simply going to create a schema that is going to be day two because today is the day two. I'll be simply going to apply it over here. Close it. All right. And after that what we'll be basically going to do, let's just click over here this icon that you will be basically able to see the page plus one. So over here you will be going to write your each and every query which will be basically there. So we'll be simply going to do the same thing only over here now. So what we'll be going to do, guys, we'll be simply going to create a table. So this is what we have seen in the yesterday session. Like we'll be basically going to create a table named countries. Okay. Over here, there will be three columns in it. So let us just say, if I just remove these comments, or like if I'll be, these comments will basically going to give you an idea over here how things are basically working. So I want to create country. So if I'll be simply going to execute it, okay, over here it is basically giving me an error. All right, in the this thing in the over here in the output you'll be easily able to see that there is a cross button. All right, because like it is saying that error code 1064, there is an error in SQL. So if I'm basically getting an error over here, right? So can anyone tell me what is the mistake that I'm doing, why I'm basically getting this particular error? Wait, guys, I'll be going to send the link to the Let's Upgrade team, and maybe they will share it with you. Just give me 1 second. I think I have, I think I have shared it in this thing also. Just give me 1 second. All right. Today's day two, right now. Yeah, day two we are using. So how we can basically solve this particular error? The download link you will be able to get it, guys. Don't worry. Let's Upgrade team will going to share it with all of you. Like what you are not able to see over here clearly. I think it's okay. There is no such problem. Okay, use database. Obviously, I have to use database over here. So I basically have to write day two dot countries, and I'll be simply going to run it. So if I'll be simply going to execute it, so it is like in the table you will be able to see I have this countries, this one, right? So this is basically my country. How this basically country is basically looking like. Country ID, country name, region ID I basically have over here. So this is basically the thing. All right. So like I have just like clicked on this country table, and it is basically showing me select star from day two dot country. So what is this thing? This we will even going to understand. All right. But what we have did over here, so simply I think if I basically have to create a table, I have to write create table, and after that I have to give over here the schema name dot the this thing, the table name that you are basically looking for. And if I'll be simply going to create a table, at least one column should be there. If you'll be just going to create a table like this, it will not going to create it. All right. So at least you should have one column inside it, because if you are creating an Excel file, maybe a CSV, maybe a table or something, at least one column should be there, right? Otherwise there is no meaning of creating a table over here. So we have mentioned, okay, country ID should be like in alphabets, and it can have two letters at least. All right. Now country name varchar is basically there. That means it is again, you can basically use alphabets over here. And if I just talk about region ID, this should be in numerical format. This is basically the thing over here that we was basically looking for. Now, let us just say if I'll be again going to execute the same query, it is again giving me an error. Okay, I hope you guys are clearly able to see it. If I'll be simply going to this thing, run this thing, so it will going to give me an error, because over here what I'm doing, I'm creating a table. But one thing is there, that this table is already been created. That's why it is giving me an error. Okay. Now, just tell me one thing, guys, over here. Just tell me one thing over here. What do you think? How we can basically solve this particular error? If table is already created, and by mistake, I am basically creating it again. I have basically mentioned this kind of a code. So what kind of a changes I can made over here? So I will not get an error. Yeah, Rajan, you are right. If we change the name, okay, but if we want to remains the name as same, so what we can do at that time, we can simply do over here create table if not exist. Over here we are saying only create a table if it not exist. And if I'll be simply going to execute it, so just see this thing. Okay, it is basically right now, it is now basically not giving me any kind of a error over. Okay. So it is basically saying that zero rows affected because this is like this thing. So if one table is like already been created, what you can basically do over here? Yeah, country too. This is also the thing that you can basically do over here. But one thing is basically there that you should always go with if not exist. If not exist, just do the same thing. Okay, nothing else. So at that time you will be easily able to resolve this particular error. So this is how you can basically create a particular error. Now let us just see what are the main things while we are creating a particular table. What are the things that we have to keep in our mind? All right. So let us just say one more table I'll be just going to create, which name is basically going to be country one. Okay, this. But now just see one thing over here. I have basically mentioned country id varchar 2 not null. What is this thing now? Again, country name varchar 40 not null, region id decimal 10 comma 0 not null. So what is this not null over here? So let's just discuss this thing. Let's just discuss this thing, guys. Let's just say you guys might have filled Google Forms. In Google Forms, some of the columns or some of the regions they have marked it as a star. So if they have marked it as a star, that means you cannot skip that particular thing. Okay, you cannot skip that particular thing. You have to write some data inside it. Guys, right now we are not discussing primary key. We will discuss it. Don't worry. So this is the main thing. All right. So whenever you will be going to insert something in this table, that is country one, that cannot be null. Execute this one. Okay, so it got executed successfully. So just see this thing. So this is basically going to be not null. All right. Now, yes, it is a must fill column. Absolutely right, guys. Now, similarly, like these are the things that you can basically do over here. Let us just say one more thing is basically also there. One more thing you basically want to create. Let us just say this time you basically want to create a table. Okay, let us just say this time what you will going to do, instead of this thing, you will basically going to create a table which name starts with jobs. Okay, so it will basically going to be create table if not exists day 2 dot jobs. So what we are doing, job id varchar is basically 10, that going to be not null. Job title not null. Okay, minimum salary, that means minimum salary should be in 6 figures. Okay, maximum salary should be in like between 0 to 6 only. Now one thing we have also mentioned over here, that constraint to ensure that maximum salary is less than or equal to 25,000. Let us just say you are basically working as a HR in an organization, and you have sent a Google form or maybe something to the candidate, and when if someone is basically writing, okay, my salary is 55,000. All right, let us just say you have mentioned the salary maximum salary should be, or let us just say 55,000. The maximum salary should be 55,000. If someone is having 55,000, only then we will hire that particular candidate. But if someone is already having the salary of 60,000, so at that time we will not going to consider his or her application. All right, this is what you can basically do over here. All right, guys. So this is how you can basically create a table also with maximum limits and with minimum limits over here. What you are not able to understand, vibes on? Max salary over here, I'm basically explaining that you are basically just adding a check over here. That maximum salary should not exceed this number. Just a small example I'm basically giving you over here. Yes, that is what I'm asking you. What kind of a confusion you have till now? Just it is just a check that we are adding over here. Okay. Not null, I have just told you. Let's just say you are filling a Google form, or whenever you, this is just a table that we are creating for now. But in future, obviously, we'll be going to add some rows in it. Okay, let me just share over here. Let me just share my screen over here. Another tab, let me just try to share this one. So I'll be easily able to explain you. Or let us just say in the same one only I'll be just going to tell you. I think yesterday I have given you one example. So the same example I'll be just going to consider over here. Let's just say this is the one that I basically have over here. Okay, let us just say now. So this is the table that you have where you have customer ID, name, emails, you have phone numbers, address, date of birth, purchase history. All right. So let us just say email, that we basically have email. Email will going to be not null. All right. And phone number will going to be not null. These are the things. Now, let us just say I am basically entering a data inside it. So let us just say my customer ID is 003. Now, if I just talk about my name, let us just say my name is Satyam over here. Now, email ID is basically not null. So what I'll be going to do, let us just say xyz@gmail.com. I'll be simply going to write. Now, number. So 123, any number I can basically write over here. Now, address is basically, it is asking. So what I'll be going to do, I'll be going to skip it. That means no data I'll be going to enter over here, and I'll be simply going to move forward to the date part. And date part also I'll be simply going to skip. Now purchase history I have. So let's just say I bought product, product A I bought, and product E I basically bought. So just see one thing. Over here, these two was not null. So whenever I am basically inserting a data, these values, there will always be some kind of a value. Like over here, I missed the address, the date of birth I have basically missed. Like I basically skipped it. So, but whenever I am entering a value in email and phone number, this will going to be not null. That means this will not going to be empty. And if I want, I can skip these two also, because not null is not mentioned over here. But if not null is also there over here, it is basically like this, not null. Then at this time, what I have to do, whenever I am basically inserting a data over here, so at that time I have to mention my name also. I cannot skip the name. So this is the meaning of not null, because when you are basically creating a data set, when you are basically creating a pipeline over there. Okay. Yeah, just see one thing, guys. Let me just give you one real life example how things are working, so you might be able to relate it. Whenever we are working for any kind of a client, in the initial stage only, you have to set up pipeline. Let us just say client is basically saying that you will be going to have 10 columns. So initially, you will be going to design your database in such a way that 10 columns will be basically there. Now, at that time only, they'll be going to tell you which columns are most important. So, if you are basically inserting a data in it, but you missed some kind of a rows, let us just say you missed email, you missed phone number, but email and phone numbers are the most important values that we are looking for in a data set. So while inserting the data, it will basically going to show you an error. Okay, this is basically having this is basically not having any kind of a value, and we just cannot add a null value in the email and phone number. So we'll be not going to insert that record. So initially only we have to design these things. Let's just say after some time, client will basically going to send us a data set, but most of the values are missing. And after that, client will going to blame it on you that you haven't checked it before doing these things. You like why this data is basically not showing the proper results. If you are like in data science or maybe something like if there is a dashboard, so on the dashboard why these details are not there, clients will going to blame all of these things on you. But if they are sending you these null values, so you have a record at that time, that this record, let us just say a customer id, I have a customer id which is basically like a customer id, just give me 1 second, a customer id which is having 005 code. Okay, but they haven't sent this email and phone number over there. Rest of the values are there, name is there, address is there, date is there. So when client will going to ask me, okay, why you guys are not showing this data on the dashboard, whose customer id is 005. So at that time we can tell them, okay, there was no phone number and email number at that time. Columns are important. Look, some these things only client will basically define, guys. That which is important, which is not important. That is particularly your call. During the discussion with the client, we discuss all of these things. All right. So this is how you can basically set a check also on the minimum salary. That the minimum salary should be this thing, like a maximum salary. If someone is if you are working in an organization, if you are working as a hr and you are basically filling a form, now you all know, okay, the maximum salary a person is having in my organization is, let us just say, 2 lakh. But what if okay, so over here you have mentioned the maximum salary will going to be 2 lakh. But what if someone is having a salary of 2 lakh only, but she or he might mistakenly entered one more zero, so that is going to be 20 lakhs, so it is a wrong value. But according to the data that I basically have, I know the maximum salary will going to be 2 lakh. So if someone mistakenly going to do this thing, obviously that particular person will going to get some kind of error. So it will be able to see, okay, your salary is exceeding 2 lakh, so he or she might be able to correct it. All right, now, so let us just move forward now. This is how you can basically create a data set over here. Like minimum salary you can mention, multi maximum salary you can basically mention over here. Let me just see if there is something which is more important that we can discuss or no. So let us just say now you have created a table. Now it's time to basically insert some data inside it. So let us just do one thing. Let us just create one more schema which is going to be day 2 insert. Only the insert queries will be going to look over here. How the insert queries are basically going to look like. So till then, let me just clear all of these. Don't worry, guys. One more thing. Uh, After discussing these things, all the notes that I basically have regarding it, I'll be going to share with all of you. So you guys don't basically have to write a query like this or something. So you'll be easily able to understand. All right. Now, so let us just. So over here, we'll be going to create one table, create table employees, but in which one I'll be just going to create? That is going to be day 2 dot insert. So day 2 underscore insert, and I'll be simply going to execute this one. All right. So I have employee. Let's just click on this table first of all. Now you will be able to see how many columns do I have over here. I have employee ID, first name, last name, department, salary, and hire date. These are the columns that I have. Now, what I'll be going to do over here, I'll be going to insert some data inside it. What kind of a data I'll be going to insert over here? So let's just say this one. So just see insert into day 2 dot insert. That means inside this schema, I want to the employees table is basically there. So I have columns employee ID, first name, last name, department, salary, hire date. Now for inserting the values, you have to write values. Okay. Now over here, you will be just going to mention the values in a tuple, like in this round brackets. Let us just say employee ID will going to be 1, first name will going to be John, the last name will going to be Doe, the department will basically going to be HR, the salary is going to be this thing, let us just say 60,000, and the hire date is basically going to be this one. All right. And for inserting, previously what we was doing, for creating a table, we was writing create table. Now, if we are inserting it, we just have to write insert into day 2 underscore insert dot employees and simply execute it. Okay. All right. Just give me 1 second, guys. Why it is giving me an error? Okay, just 1 second. Sorry. Wait. Okay, this is basically giving us error. There is one reason that we'll be just going to understand, but before that, like, not we will be going to start from a very basic one. So what we'll be going to do, we'll be going to insert the data in the countries that we was basically using. Let us just start from the very basic one, and the error that we was getting just now, we'll be just going to discuss it. So in the countries, we'll be going to insert it. So I'll be simply going to write in day 2, I was having this country table, and I'm basically doing insert into day 2 dot countries values C1 India and 1001. Now let us just say this is your country. Let's just look into this table first of all. Country ID is there, right? Country name is there, region is there. Now you guys tell me one thing. I'll be simply going to run it, and it has like executed successfully. And when I'll be just going to look into my country table now, okay, now I'll be just see this thing. We have entered C1 Indian and 101, right? Now, just tell me one thing. If I'll be just going to write country 01 and I'll be going to execute it. Previously it was working, but now it is basically giving me an error. Can anyone tell me why I'm getting this error? What do you think, guys? Why I'm getting this error? Is there any mistake in this query? What do you think? Look, if you want to understand any error, just do one thing. Just go on Google, copy and paste it, so you'll be able to understand how it is working. Cause of data type. All right. What kind of a data type? C is not an integer. All right. Akansha. All right. Sahej is saying because of data type. So how I will solve it? That is the main thing. Should I remove the string one? Should I enter like a country code 1001? Number of values. C is not integer. Okay. Varchar 2. All right. Good. Just see this thing, guys. when we was creating this country table, what we have mentioned, can I say this is the thing that we have mentioned, right? Create table countries, country id varchar 2, country name varchar 40, decimal is like between these numbers 0 to 10, but varchar 2 we have mentioned, that means only two characters will be there. If I'll be going to write C9 and I'll be simply going to execute it, it will get executed. Now if I just again show you the country, just see this thing. One more record we have inserted over here. Alright. One more record we have inserted over here. That's why we was getting error. So short girl, sorry, short gene 01 is basically was right. No, it was not like that, guys. Just see one thing. If I'll be going to use four numbers over here, so obviously it will going to give me an error, because before creating the table we have already mentioned this thing. Because before creating the table we have already mentioned that country country id should only have two values. But if you are like updating, if you are basically inserting something and you have mentioned four values inside it, so obviously it will going to give you an error. So that's why we was basically getting the error. Okay, I hope you guys are clear now. Okay, nice. So all right, now let us just say I have the same thing over here. Let's just comment it out. So what I'll be going to do for now, insert into countries. That is obviously going to be my day two dot countries, and I have country ID, country name, region ID. I think these are the columns we only have: country ID, country name, region ID, and each and everything is basically like this. Now what I'll be going to do, I'll be just going to insert value over here. Value C1 India null. So we'll be simply going to execute this one. Okay, so over here it is basically giving us an error over here in the values here. Or let us just say you are basically inserting it and remove this one. Now we'll be basically going to execute it. So when we was creating this table, let me just show you that particular query so we can like discuss it again and again. So just see this thing. If we have created a table, does like anywhere do we have mentioned not null? We haven't mentioned not null anywhere. Okay, not null we have not mentioned. So if, all right, so if we have basically did this thing, insert into day 2 dot countries, and value is going to be C1 India null. And if I'll be simply going to show you my country data set, so just see this thing. Over here it is showing null. Why it is showing null? Because we have inserted a null record over here. But if you want that there should be no null record in particular row or something, so at that time you have to mention not null. All right. I hope uh, this thing. I hope now you guys are clear. The person who was, some of you might be having a doubt regarding not null. I hope that is like clear now. Like why not null is important and these things are there. Okay. Now, if you basically want to insert multiple values over here, so what you can do, day 2 dot countries and execute it. Now can anyone tell me why it is giving me an error if I'm inserting multiple records? Why I'm getting error now, guys? Because we have mentioned wrong column names. That's why. I'll be just going to show you that, don't worry. Because it was in capital and we have mentioned it in a small letters. Okay, right. So this is how you can insert these things. Alright. Now if I'll be just going to show you the country, just see these are the records again that we have inserted over here. Now. Okay, alright. Now. So now what we'll be going to do, we'll be again going to create one more table and we'll be just going to see. So over here we have basically mentioned, create table if not exists and day 2 jobs, and we have mentioned job ID should be there, it is an integer, not null is there, and unique should be there. All right. Job title varchar 34 not null. Minimum salary decimal 6,0. All right. Not null is there. Neither like unique is basically there. Now we are simply insert into day2 dot jobs values 1001 officer, and this is the salary that a particular person is basically having. Okay. So just let me just see what kind of an error I am basically getting over here. Okay. So it should going to be unique. Insert into day2 dot jobs. Refresh this one, and let us just say, do we like we have created a table on it? So obviously yes, we have basically created a table over here. So what error we are basically getting, insert into day2 dot job values is basically there, that is going to be these three values: job ID, job title, minimum salary, and max salary. So what do you think, guys, why we are getting this error? Like there is no maximum salary. First of all, one thing is basically there. So just do one thing. So we'll be simply going to drop this one and refresh this one, because we only have three columns over here. That is going to be job ID, job title, and minimum salary. Okay. So now if I'll be going to execute it, sometime this will happen that when something is already been created and you are basically trying to do these things, columns are created. So you have to double check these things. Most of the time you might going to face this kind of error. So now just see this thing. Now we have this jobs. So if I'll be just going to show you, just see job ID, job title, and this one. But what if I want to insert it in such a way like job title should be not null and job ID should be not null. But what if I'll be basically going to write it null, and this is going to be like this, and I'll be going to execute. So just see this thing. Over here, I'm basically getting an error. So error over here, you will be able to see error code 1048, column job ID cannot be null. But let us just skip this one and let us just say the salary is I'll be going to add null. Now, and this thing I'll be going to change, let us just say to officer, and let us just say over here the person is working as a data scientist. And now I'll be going to execute this. Now it got executed. Now again I'll be just going to look into the table, click over here, just see this thing now. Now this can be null, but when I was writing null over here, like in this one, job ID, so it was basically at that time giving me an error that this value cannot be null. Okay, this is okay. So I hope you guys are getting it. Guys, can I get a quick confirmation? Are we guys clear all the things that we have seen till now? Are we guys clear or not? One more thing is also there, guys. Just see. We have created. Okay, let me just do this one. We have created it, and over here we have mentioned unique also. Unique is basically there, right? Unique is there. So what is the meaning of this thing? This basically have a simple meaning that each and every time the job ID should be unique, because if you'll be just going to understand this thing, each and every employee have a unique job ID. But what if by the mistake of HR they have mentioned same ID to two employees? Okay, so it will be a this thing. Let's just say you are looking for your salary slip at the end of the month, but your salary is 60,000, but other employee is also there whose salary is 20,000. So this is the problem there. So each employee should have unique employee ID. So if I'll be going to do the same thing, let's just say data analyst someone is working and the salary is going to be $2,000, consider over here $2,000. Now I'll be going to execute it. So just see, over here I'm getting an error because job ID 101001 is already present. But if simply I'll be going to change it to 3 and now I'll be going to execute it. So just see, now it is not giving me any kind of an error. Okay. So this is the thing, that if you can even set it unique, so that all basically depends on the client requirement. Client will going to tell you you have to do this thing, this going to be the unique value. At the time of when client is basically joining you, you are discussing a new project, you are preparing a database, you are preparing a whole structure, you are creating a full pipeline. So at that time you will be going to ask these things to the client. Okay, so at that time you will be going to ask these things to the client, guys. This is the main thing. Okay, now this is like how you can create a table. This is how you can basically this is how I can basically say you can insert some values in the table. But what if you basically have to write more queries regarding doing searching something? So I have countries, let us just say I have countries. Over here I have country ID, country name, and region ID. Okay, so over here you will be able to see this query: select star from day2 dot countries. That means all the rows that is there, if I'm basically mentioning star, all the rows whichever is present in my database, just give me all of that particular rows. What if you basically want to, let us just say you have this particular thing, you have a table called employees. Okay, or let us just say one thing, if we just discuss about this particular query. Just see, guys. What we are doing select star from day2 dot countries, and let us just do one thing. Let us just cut this thing, and first of all let us just run this thing. Okay, day 2, sorry, day 2 dot countries. Now it will going to show you the whole table. But what if you want to order these things according to the country name? So over here, like something we are using, that is order by country name and sending. So first of all, let us just like execute it. Okay. I think this is not there basically. Just give me 1 second. Country name is basically there. COUNTRY underscore name is there, and we are basically doing this thing order by country name ascending, and we are basically executing it. Okay, now we are getting it. This is the mistake that I did. I was like mentioning it on the capital letter. So this there is like no day two where Y is capital. So Y is small is there. So what we are doing, we are like ordering it by the ascending order. That means first, if A is there, A should be there. A, B, B, like this, it should be there. Okay. So this is how you can basically filter your data set. This is how you can basically do this thing. Now, let us just say in the descending order, you basically want to do it. So how you will be able to do it? Do it instead of ascending, just mention descending. Okay. And execute it. Now you'll be able to see USA is on the top, then UK, then India, then each and everything is basically there. All right, clear till now? Yes, primary key must have the unique value, guys. Okay. So, guys, I can say this is it. Okay, guys, so this is it for today's session. Do you guys have any kind of a confusion till now? Okay. All right. So, guys, I can basically say this is it for today's session. The rest of the things we'll be going to discuss in tomorrow's session. We'll be going to discuss these things, guys. Don't worry. From the beginning to the end, we'll be going to move forward. So, don't worry. No, unique and primary keys are not same. Okay, guys. So, I can basically say, guys, we will discuss these things. The difference, I will tell you each and everything when we'll be going to discuss it. Because there are other candidates also, the students who are learning it from the very basic. So guys, thank you for joining. The rest of the things we'll be going to discuss in the next session. So this is it for today's session. Then bye each and everyone, and good night, guys. Take care. Bye bye.